keeping with the way my morning was going.
Oh, well, we have a call.
We have a call?
Yeah.
Where are you, they're saying.
Yeah, probably. I think what needs done is whatever Harlow does on the web page to get it ready to go. If you could redo that.
Are you talking to Alex?
I just sent him a voice text. Because literally my hands are shaking.
Aw, jeez.
It was, you know what? I probably came in too confident. That was it. I thought, oh yeah, we're set.
Yeah, see, it's always, really, it's
I thought,
just.
and look at it, you know, I thought, we got it right here, no problems.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting emails. Hang on.
Yep.
Trying. Oh, Michael's saying he can totally hear and see me fine to start the show.
Right now?
Really? You guys can hear me now?
Let's try it.
It's a good thing I didn't say.
Oh,
I just keep getting a short 19-second recording of someone saying, "Where's my fucking video?"
That's awesome.
Let's just start.
All right.
All right, just. Oh dear. Well, I'm glad I wasn't swearing.
Yeah, I apologize. Not really. I
Well,
was really shocked.
that's Charlie Deach, our editor, who is not a tech, okay? And our usual tech guy is at the dentist, which explains.
Couldn't make it up.
So some of the emails I've gotten are funny. Laura writes, I just keep getting a short 19-second recording of someone saying, "Where's my fucking video? Video output, video camera, microphone," then you disappear. I love your red outfit and necklace.
Tell folks to give us a heads up if they can hear us.
Michael from the Cynic says, I can totally hear and see you fine. Just start the show already. Oh, God, this is funny. Okay. Well, it's good we weren't defaming anyone, you see. These open mic moments. People get stuck. Milt writes, Lynn, you're coming through well on YouTube. Both video and sound are good from our side, 10:13. Okay, so you got us on a few minutes ago then.
Yeah.
He's saying from 10.
Alex says we'll be on the website in a few minutes. We're on YouTube now, but we'll be on the website in a couple of minutes.
Okay, we are on YouTube now. We'll be on the website in a couple of minutes, like I understand any of that. Okay. You know, I was just telling Charlie, this is absolutely befitting the way my morning has gone in general. I've been in a just. So this was actually good because it allowed me to just sort of. Because he was the one going nuts. I just decided I could just sit here and breathe. I did everything but alternative nostril breathing. But, okay, guys. Jesus H. Okay. So, there, see, I did it. So.
I think that was appropriate.
The so is appropriate today. I mean, I got in here and I sat down in the chair and I like collapsed into the. So I thought, well, screw that. I got the other chair. We're in a conference room. There's like 20 beautiful chairs here. Sat in that. Look at this. You tell me why you have to go to graduate school to know how to get a chair. Okay, we right? Here. That's what they all do. Every single one of them. And you can fiddle with all the little knobs and bzzz, and it's still, you sit down and you very slowly, and then the minute you get up, it comes back up. Fuck these things. I mean, I think we're all, it's true. Well, I don't mean to include you, but I know I am beset and besieged by change right now. By, technology that we can't, by, shall I bother you with my, so I actually left the house 5 minutes early today. And it's a damn good thing I did, because when I got downtown and turned on the street I always turn on and often park on, there was a tent set up that blocked the entire street. There was no sign that said road closed. There was traffic backing up on every artery heading. What? And then I thought, okay, all right, I'm cool. I got the time. So I went over to my secondary thing. I zipped over to Liberty Avenue, where there's always a place. And not only wasn't there a place, but they have gotten rid of at least 4 on-street parking places by, what's with all the red and blue paint, green paint all over the damn roads? Anybody been in Pittsburgh lately? You're driving down a road you've driven down a million times, and all of a sudden you're confronted with lines, bikes, bike paths, and you really don't even know what half of them mean. Half the streets downtown here, it seems, are painted bright. I mean, bright red. The bright red pavement seems to be for buses only. The green pavement, because anyone who rides a bike is better than anybody in a car. They're morally better. They are better in every way, and they will be. So there's no place to park. There's no place to drive. I get the message. But, some of us can't bike. And I'd be happy to take the bus, which I used to do, if you'd have a better system. So, just saying. Wait a minute here. Chuck's written something. I'm avoiding getting into things. Lynn, just saying the new equipment is amazing in that apparently it allows you to time travel. YouTube says you're coming to us from the future. The date stamp is 9/29, which is tomorrow. That's Charlie again.
Totally me.
Charles, it's a good thing you know how to edit a newspaper.
Yeah. If you want to write it.
I never know what date it is either, so, we're on the same page there. All right, screw this. Phone number, by the way, although we don't know if Charlie can take a call.
I can't.
Do you?
I'm 90.
Yeah, well, 92% sure. Although he admitted just a while ago he was overconfident coming in the first place. All right, so phone number if you want to attempt to call is 412-200-5686, and I forgot to do my little thing where I can put it right there, and you can see it. Oh, so our illustrious leader apparently has just under extreme pressure coming from Republicans, Democrats, media, Puerto Ricans, and anybody with a heart, has just agreed to do what he did almost immediately when hurricanes struck in Florida and in Texas, which is to get rid of or suspend, I guess is the word they use, suspend some absurd protectionist piece of legislation passed about 100 years ago called the Jones Act, right? Which prevents, probably you've heard it by now, so let's not get into it, but it was, by virtue of being still in place, was keeping potentially a lot of supplies from getting to the people in Puerto Rico. And when the president was asked yesterday, because people have been asking him, come on, get rid of the Jones Act. You did it. I mean, this is done immediately. It was done for Katrina. It was done for Harvey. It was done for Irma. It was done for... I'm proud of myself for remembering all those names. Names don't stick in my head. And you ain't doing it for Maria? Would it be that the people that are being impacted, although you just found out they are in fact American citizens, speak Spanish? Or is it that a lot of them are sort of darker skinned? Might that be it? I don't know. What's the difference? Anyway, someone asked why he wasn't doing it. Let me find the quote, because it's just mind-blowing. We have a lot of shippers and a lot of people who work in the shipping industry that don't want the Jones Act lifted. That was his response. Well, yeah, you have millions of people in jeopardy of their lives. Donald, when you can't find water, life doesn't go on. It's amazing there has not yet been massive sort of civil unrest, rioting, because when people are pushed to the point where they are simply in a state of such desperation to keep themselves and their families alive, well, then you don't pay attention to no laws anymore. It really is amazing. It really is amazing. And he was thinking about the shippers. Because they, well, what do you mean go save a bunch of Spanish-speaking brown people who we didn't even know are Americans? You mean we could be making a lot of money if we're the only ships that can take those supplies in. Okay, we got another complaint here. Lynn says, I started to watch, but then 3 seconds in it stopped. The producer said something about no video. Nothing now, but the dang circling ball. Refresh?
Yes, refresh. We're on the website. I'm looking at it now, so we're on the website, and it's working. So refresh, and let's see what happens.
Refresh. I'll tell her. Why can't I even figure out how to friggin' send this? Okay, there. All right, so I have an apology. I was mortified yesterday after leaving here. I was going to say the station, but it's really not. After leaving the station, I all of a sudden thought, oh my God, you conflated Pruitt and Price. Yesterday I went on a rant. I went on a number of rants yesterday, but one of my rants was about the EPA which I said was a misnomer now. It's not the Environmental Protection Agency, it's the Environmental Destruction Agency. So I think of it as the EDA under Pruitt. And we were talking about his $25,000 soundproof booth that he's building in his office. And so he's destroying the environment, wasting money, and then I conflated him with the head of Health and Human Services, another wonderful man named Price, Tom Price, who has been spent almost $500,000 in his tenure flying him and his wife around on private jets. So I'm sorry, I made them into one horrifying person when in fact there are two horrifying people, both serving in the great Trump administration and both with names that begin with P, who are shaking down the taxpayers of America, which is maybe why I got mixed up. And then, after just thinking, oh God, how awful to be on the air and saying stuff that's untrue, and then knowing that you guys are so smart that a lot of you knew I was conflating them and thinking, God, Lynn's really not quite with it today. So anyway, I was just mortified, and this is my mea culpa. But almost as if God knew of my distress, he decided to help me out a bit because news broke yesterday that in fact Pruitt, the EDA guy, had in fact also been using private jets and billing us, the taxpayers, nowhere near. He's not playing at the level of his compatriot Dr. Price. But so Trump was asked about this, and he actually made it sound like he might can this guy Price, which is very funny. So he might can him for costing us about $500,000 flitting around on private jets, when every time Trump gets in Air Force One to go to Mar-a-Lago, it costs, I forget, it's like, it's well over $1 million. Well over $1 million, and he has cost us an amazing amount of money. So, but Gail Collins pointed out that if Trump fires Price over his use of private aircraft, that's sort of funny because there are so many terrible things this man has done, and that what would trip him up was taking a plane once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6, 7, who's counting? Because Price is, I'll just remind you of some of the wondrous things he's done. He has quoted, he's thrown many of the scientists out at, this is Pruitt again. God damn it. They're like one two-headed monster in my head. Yeah. Price Pruitt. Pruitt Price. What the fuck's the difference? They're both loathsome. Okay. This would be the EPA guy, Scott Pruitt. Actually, throwing scientists out the window. He said this, quote, "Science is not something that should be just thrown about to try to dictate policy in Washington." Science is something that should not be used to dictate policy, said the head of the EPA. Well, then what should be dictating policy? Fantasy? Wishful thinking? False information? Science should not be thrown about to try to dictate policy. Yeah, Pruitt. And then back to Price. He's the guy who was the lead guy on the repeal of Obamacare. he also has decimated in his position overseeing the health of America. He has gutted the National Institutes of Health Research budget. He has essentially waged a war against birth control. He does not believe in it. Against birth control, and especially to teen pregnancy prevention programs. Gutting them. They're disappearing. I mean, somebody better explain to me sometime why people who go to the mat for a fetus because they see the fetus as a full-blown citizen of the United States of America, worthy of all the protections that those of us outside the womb possess. Then why would they not be like crazed warriors for birth control? Because that would help a lot to prevent unwanted pregnancies. And if you had really smart Americans and teenagers who understood sex, how sex works, what happens, blah, 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 how not to get pregnant, well, then you wouldn't have abortions. But they're against it. And it can't all be Catholics. The Catholics were out in front on this, but the evangelicals came along after a while, late to the game. All right. Okay. So, maybe we should wait till tomorrow to sort of assess Hugh Hefner's impact, because it's huge. 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 In a lot of ways, you could argue that he was at the forefront, in a kind of way, of the sexual revolution. I always think of the forefront of the sexual revolution as the creation of the birth control pill. Because as soon as women knew they could actually have sex and be assured they were not going to get pregnant, well then, Katie barred the door. But there was Hefner, there was the pill. There was Hefner, obviously Hefner he thought he was a feminist. I thought he was an objectifier of women's bodies, and women as nothing more than sexual objects. And yet, by virtue of pulling America away from this puritanical view of sex that we were suffering under, he helped to open things up so that we could openly start talking about, yes, women are sexual beings, and that's part of who we are. It's a complicated thing. He also, we'll talk about it tomorrow, but he also was a very quiet philanthropist. People who give money and then squawk about it, that's one thing. People who just quietly give money to take care of situations, that's another. He also, in one of his franchises, one Playboy Club or two in Florida, and I forget where else, somewhere in the South, refused to allow blacks to come into the clubs. He went berserk, took away their franchises, and said he was inalterably opposed to segregation. So he was, in many ways, a progressive. I don't know. His impact, huge. Huge. Socially, his impact in journalism, in the business world. Harvard apparently started teaching classes on how the hell he did what he did. Blew up the publishing world and the models of what a magazine could and could be. I don't know. So, he's dead, and you start hearing stories about him, which makes him a very multi-dimensional figure. The one story I do want to that blew me away was a story about Dick Gregory, also who died recently, the black activist and comedian. And I'm going to take you way back. I'm not sure the year. When was the year? Be 61-ish, 2-ish, when the Freedom Riders and when those three boys, Schwerner, Goodman, and Cheney, I knew it started with a C, were killed in the South. And everybody knew they were dead, but nobody knew where their bodies were. Dick Gregory came running in. He said, we're gonna find these boys. We're gonna find their bodies. I mean, they knew they were dead. I mean, it was the South. So they couldn't get anywhere. And then Gregory thought, money. If we put out like a reward, if we are able to show we got a lot of money behind us, like $100,000, people are going to talk. We're going to find. And do you know who he called? Hugh Hefner. Who knew? Hefner put up some money, and the boys were found. But I mean, little things like that. What? I never knew. What? Dick Gregory and Hugh Hefner helped pressure the FBI to do the right thing. Then there's this amazing story, or not, which has a Pittsburgh connection, in that it's a Pittsburgh crook who was wearing the wire and working with the FBI, who's already brought down Rick Pitino at Louisville, and is going to bring down one hates to imagine. So we're now finding out what a cesspool both the NCAA and, to a certain extent, I guess, the NBA are, and how this shoe stuff. Who knew? Who knew that basketball and shoes and shoe companies are running a lot of NCAA programs, is what it turns out. And the more you read about this, the dirtier you feel, the more disgusting it is. So imagine this. You are a kid. You're 15, 16 years old, and you're good at basketball. Now, the NBA won't let you come right in and start taking your talent to make tons of money right out of high school. They won't do that anymore. I think LeBron James was one of the last ones who was able to do that. They have to sit out at least a year. And the NCAA, that oversees the college sport, prohibits these kids from taking even a dime or a sandwich, anything from anybody while they are playing for a college team. But these kids and their talent are worth millions. And so while they are prevented from getting the money, these sharks around them, the shoe companies, the agents, the financial advisors, the coaches, all of this has created this underground money scheme that is despicable. We're going to find out about this. My God. Maybe you've seen this, but I was just blown away. So the guy from Pittsburgh is wearing a wire. I forget his name. Some despicable character. And this is a meeting in a Las Vegas hotel room that the FBI recorded. And you had at the meeting a Louisville assistant coach, an agent, another coach from Florida, and the jerk from Pittsburgh. Blazer is his name. Marty Blazer. And they're actually openly on this video discussing a bribe that involved a high school junior, a 16-year-old boy, whose mother knew the game. And I don't mean a basketball. She knew, maybe from another mother, she knew, hey, there's money here. There's money. I know it says he can't profit, but there's money here. And these guys are openly talking about the fact that this mother wanted some money. She's got a junior in high school. And here's one of the quotes from the agent. Mom is like, we need our fucking money. So, that didn't strike the guys as unusual. This is the kind of thing they deal with all the time. So, they agreed to funnel money to her through a from one of them to a coach to in an envelope, unfortunately passed to an undercover FBI agent, containing just $12,700 to shut this woman up for a little while and keep her boy on the hook. All of this craziness with the shoes, started with a guy named Vaquero who saw an opportunity. This is a guy. Let me find this. It's fascinating stuff, I think. Oh no, that's Hugh Hefner. All right, so I can't find it. I am not as organized as I like to think. Okay. So they actually can. Sonny Vaquero, he was a marketing executive for Nike and Adidas and Reebok. He's an old guy now. He said when he saw what has been uncovered, he was stunned by the enormity. He sort of was the one who realized that shoe companies would be very interested in getting in early to sign up a player who was going to be in the NBA. So these shoe companies were going after high school kids, getting them agents, signing people up. There are shoe companies that have now massive deals with universities so that every team has their stuff. And the money that they're paying to universities and the corruption here is mind-blowing. And I'll tell you what's despicable. And we get back to this contentious issue of should college athletes be paid Well, I don't think there's any doubt they should be paid since everybody else is making money hand over fist off their talent. It's thievery. The guy who started this thing, who saw the opportunities for Nike, Vaquero, he has become an outspoken critic of the NCAA. And he advocates ending amateurism in college sports and allowing the players to seek their own contracts and other endorsements. Believe me, those poor kids will be preyed upon, and a lot of people will be making lots of money anyway. But at least the kid will be getting some of the value he is creating, and nobody else. He is the owner of the value, and he's the only one in the current system shut out of making a penny. I mean, think of this, a bunch of big spending big shots in a hotel room in Las Vegas, all seeking to profit from some 16-year-old kid. And Vaquero said this: everybody around that kid in that meeting is making money off of him. And he's 17 years old. He's not making a penny. And he's not even in the game yet. Oh, boy. You know, if you're a straight shooter by nature or just by character, if you are an honorable person, if you actually took in and made part of the fabric of your soul those quaint little things that your mom and dad, I hope, tried to teach you, like you don't steal, you don't lie. I mean, I'm always, just like we're astonished at seeing how many racists there are in the country, I'm just astonished by how many crooks, how many people have no problem exploiting people, ripping people off, stealing from them, lying for money. Unbelievable to me. And I guess I'll never come to terms with it. I'm a sad person because of it. My antidepressants don't knock it out. I just can't. I've been, since I've been a child, sort of aware of people not behaving right. And why? I could never understand it. Why would you want to hurt somebody else? Why would you tell a lie? I understood some lies, like covering up and stuff, trying to save yourself. But the kind of lies that, I don't know. I've never understood it, and I sort of thought as I got older I would get it and come to terms with it, and I never will. And it makes me feel like an outlier sometimes, because the only people you ever hear about are the crooks, because that's the news, right? A fine example they're setting. Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place here. So back to Price. I got to tell, yes, Price, not Pruitt. Price, the bespectacled doctor from Georgia, one of them Confederate states, who is, gutting NIH and gutting teenage pregnancy programs, and costing us $500,000, taking private planes. I mean, Trump's cabinet is filled with these despicable human beings. I mean, it's just filled with them. Do we remember Mnuchin? Mnuchin, who's got to be the least self-aware human being on the planet. Mnuchin is the one who asked if he could have a military plane for his honeymoon. You want to talk about entitlement? These are the guys, these conservative Republicans, are always talking about how little people, are entitled. They have these entitlement programs. It's called welfare for people who can't quite make it, and they frown on this, never even seeing their own level of entitlement is jaw-dropping, awesome. Didn't see anything wrong with asking for a military jet to fly him and his despicable wife to their honeymoon. And understand, this is a guy who's got hundreds of millions of dollars. This is the guy who took transportation at our cost, flying government jet, to get to the top of the top of the Mint to watch the eclipse. Yeah, I believe. Hard to keep up with these guys. And I want to point out something. This is interesting. With 2 cabinet members, because the cabinet is filled with gazillionaires. A millionaire in this cabinet would be looked at as I don't know, like a homeless person. So these guys are all worth hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. And they can't soak us, the little guys, enough while they've got the power. 2 cabinet members take private jets everywhere they go. But, and here's the but, they use their own private jets. And they do not, as far as I know, ask for, compensation. They've got private jets, they're richer than hell, and they use it. I like my own jet. I don't want that. I don't want to rent some jet. I mean, they look at the kind of jets that Pruitt and Price are flying around on like, when they've got their custom-made jets with everything exactly like they want them. So they use those. And what's interesting is the 2 cabinet members who do this, who are not fleecing the taxpayers in this way, are the 2 women. The execrable Education Secretary, Betsy DeVos, who is so rich, I mean, even Trump feels poor in her presence. She uses her own jet, okay? I'll give her that. Not really. And then the other one is the head of the Small Business Administration, Linda McMahon, of the World Wrestling, I always want to say Federation, but it isn't anymore, World Wrestling Entertainment. And yeah, she covers the cost out of her own pocket. I don't know if we can make anything out of a sampling like that where the 2 women in the cabinet are the ones who at least have enough character to pay their own way when they know they can damn well afford it. Bob from Braddock says, have you been aware that the Republican legislators in Harrisburg are looking to defund public transportation? Are you aware of that? What? wait a minute. And for what purpose would that be? For what? Uh, yeah. Oh, it's in their budget. That budget. They're gonna. God forbid they should cut out their per diems. They're unbelievable. They should cut themselves. They should cut. Oh God. You know what, Bob? I can't. I just. I can't. Oh, the Supreme Court has agreed to take a case where they will hear challenges to the very existence of labor unions, apparently. You know, we're in big trouble, guys. We're in big trouble. We're losing. And then you see these friggin' Russians. God! Dear God in heaven. So somebody, a researcher with something called the Alliance for Securing Democracy. The Alliance for Securing Democracy, which is bipartisan, funded by the Marshall Fund, and they have been publicly tracking 600 Twitter accounts, both real human accounts and also these bots that are not human accounts, and they have linked them to Russian operations and have seen them busy as little beavers since the NFL controversy. Oh man, that's where all those hashtags, hashtag take a knee, hashtag, boycott NFL. Those are the Russians. They said of 80 news stories promoted last week by the accounts they're monitoring, and they're just monitoring, it's an infinitesimal number of accounts. Just monitoring those accounts, more than a quarter of them, more than 25%, had a primary theme of anti-Americanism. 15% were solely there to be critical of Hillary Clinton. Man, they want her back. They want her back. They need someone to hate. And they're starting in on Chelsea, so that a whole bunch of them also were on Chelsea, on Benghazi, the golden oldies, the ones that get the people that they're wanting to keep in a constant state of turmoil and rage, keep their temperatures up. 11% focused on wiretapping in the federal investigation into Paul Manafort, and saying that shows that Trump was right when he said he was being bugged by Obama. So this was just in the last week, and they're looking at what are these guys doing. So the purpose of this, and the purpose of it during the presidential campaign, was not just to get Hillary, although that was the main purpose, get her, which is why these Russian bots were helping the Sanders campaign, even if the Sanders campaign didn't know. They were playing Sanders supporters. They were playing Stein supporters. They were playing Trump supporters. Anybody who was in a position to hurt Hillary Clinton's chances of getting to. So, but also the other main thing here, and obviously Putin was successful as hell. This has to be the greatest disinformation campaign in the history of propaganda. It has to be the greatest attack on another country without consequence, really. We are their enemy, asked Putin. We're the enemy. And he's done a job on us and is continuing to. Continuing to. What Putin really wants to do now, and you can see it as these guys who are looking at these accounts can see, he wants to make America, first of all, look bad, which we're doing. That's happened, you know. He's whipping up all of the crazies. He's getting us at each other's throats. I mean, we were there before. He's fanning the flames, throwing gasoline on the fire. He wants to make America, which used to be this exemplar of that other countries were supposed to look up to as this is what we aspire to be an open, democratic, diverse, multicultural society with equality and opportunity for all. That was what, and that's the mythology I grew up with about America, and there was some truth in it. Less and less truth in it. And so Putin wants to make the United States of America a less attractive example to other countries, and thus prevent other countries and other peoples from thinking democracy is such a good idea, or this American model is such a good idea. And his getting Trump into the White House, how does that not pretty much seal the deal? I mean, the world now looks at us as a rogue nation, as a frightening nation, as an unpredictable nation, when we had always before sought to be the nation everyone looked to for a measure of global stability. So Putin, masterful, creating social division in this country, identifying the issues that most make us get at each other's throats, and squirting lighter fluid on them. So, you know, the more I'm aware of this, the more leery I am of almost anything that I see. And that's also plays into his hands. So that we don't know who to trust anymore. We don't know if something we've seen, even from a reputable source that might have been hoodwinked. The fact is, the president says things that are wholly untrue. Who do we trust? So, it's pretty daunting. It's daunting. Alrighty, I don't know. Is that it?
I mean, the time is technically correct, but
I know we started late, but actually we were on. We just didn't know it. I was sitting quietly, thank God. Do you see how quiet I am when I'm not on the air? Because I was just like, you see? No, I have a dead animal decomposing under my bed, and I have to get home. I'm not kidding. I do. Not sure what it is, but the stench is obvious, and I can't see it. So, yeah. You know, life. It's something. So, guys, okay, whatever. We'll be back tomorrow and maybe have a little bit of a smoother beginning, middle, and end. Have a good one.
fat fingers of mine. I hit the wrong button.
Oh.
You know, I thought the middle was really good.
I don't know.
I think, like, it's a law of nature that only one person can, like, freak out at a time. So it forces the other folks to be
right.
to be calm.
Well, I have to tell you, when